Hello everyone, my name is Grayson and welcome to a new series of Vault of the Void. Now I've only ever done one series on this game. It was back when the developer Josh Bruce sent me a key for it. And I do have a series that is a tutorial series, but it has been like years since I did that, so I think I should briefly go over the mechanics of the game as a refresher for those of you who have never seen this before or haven't watched in a long time. I will make sure that there is gameplay in this episode, so this won't be an episode 0, but we will spend a brief bit talking about the game. Now, the developer Josh Bruce is extremely active on this game. He makes a lot of posts, he makes a lot of balance changes, content additions. He's got a sense of humor to him. I actually really enjoy reading his patch notes, even if that information doesn't always stick in my brain. But lately he has actually put out a daughter balance, so the Daughter of the Void, which is a character I had not played until recently. I've been mass playing her just to try to get used to her, and I thought she would be super complicated, and she's not too bad. Now, don't get me wrong, every character in this game is super complicated, but she's not as bad as you might think. So let's do hard. Let's do hard. So I have done a series on here with the Enlightened with his I think it was this martial or mindfulness, I think. Yes, we did the mindfulness because it's the she. It's basically an ethereal type of damage that cannot be removed, and once it reaches their maximum health or their current health, they just die. That was a really fun way to do it. I've also played quite a bit of the hidden. I really like the bleed deck. I've seen my friend play the blade deck a lot, and he's quite good at that as well. And then I have enjoyed the Tempest as well. I think I played the Thunder, I think is what I did. Yes, I remember this Smite card was pretty darn fun. So yeah, she's quite fun actually. They're all really good characters. But for this playthrough, let's play the Daughter of the Void, and I'm going to do her Corruption deck. So she has a unique mechanic, which is Corruption. As you purge cards or do certain other things, such as discard these cards, you get Corruption. And then your damage is based on your Corruption most of the time. So you can see, for instance here, Unleash Darkness does 75% of your Corruption damage. So on the first turn of the game, this is nothing. You have no corruption, so you're going to do no damage. So what you have to do with her is kind of survive the early part of a battle, build up your corruption, and then you can unleash absolute hell on enemies. I was doing like 100 damage to the final boss just earlier today because I had so much corruption. I also didn't even take any damage from the final boss. I think I had a pretty good run with her. So I'm hoping to repeat that, although we are on hard, so we'll see how that goes. Her spell lets her sift cards from her deck, so essentially you go into your deck and discard things from your deck to your discard pile, which is great because you can use it to discard these corruption gaining cards and boost your corruption really quickly, or you can cycle out things you don't want to be drawing anytime soon. There's also a number of other discard effects you can get in this deck, in this archetype, and it's really quite the engine. It is possible that in the later parts of some of the fights I may have to sort of edit out some of the playtime because there can be several turns in a row where I do basically nothing, and it may not be interesting to watch. So I will edit that out if it's going to become a problem. In the early parts, though, it shouldn't be too bad. A starting artifact lets us gain 1 corruption whenever we purge a card. So aka if you hold right click on a card to discard it, you actually get 1 energy. You also will get 1 corruption, and if you would go over your max energy for any reason, you gain corruption instead, which is fantastic. So you can essentially, my first turn with her in a battle is often discard my entire hand. Do nothing else, just discard everything. It's quite strange, but it works really well. It feels good to see you get to 20 corruption in 2 turns. So let's get going here. Proceed. We get a pack of cards to start. Let's see what we got here. Second chance. You can tell if they're neutral, they won't have any symbols here. If they are for a class specifically, which of course we will only find cards for our class, not other classes, they'll have this little symbol here. So this is the daughter's symbol. So we got a couple of different neutral cards. So we got block 6, and if it's discarded, we block 12. That's probably going in the deck. Deal 20 damage, and if you kill something with it, draw 2. Probably not putting that in the deck. We have Soul Tithe. That is That's not a mechanic I'm probably going to go into in this playthrough. It's a lot more complicated and dangerous. It's a very risk-reward heavy thing, and I'm probably going to try to avoid that unless I get like a lot of synergy for it. We also got Maddening, gain 3 corruption, and if you purge it, deal 6 damage to a random enemy. I like that card, so I'll probably put these 2 in there. That's probably what I'll do here. So let's go ahead and proceed. We get to choose a mastered card. So I have, this card was really invaluable for me in the last run because whenever I would cast my spell or discard things from in my deck, I would discard this one and get block 7. So I could basically pull a block 7 out of my deck that I didn't even have in my hand. It was very, very helpful. So let's choose this card to be in our backpack. I'll proceed. So the final boss will have these 4 guardians. We'll have to defeat 2 of them in order to get to the boss, and they'll have different powers we can collect. We won't go into that now. All right, so the final boss is the skeleton guy. He summons skeletons, and then I think they buff him or something. Can't remember. I think when you kill his skeletons, he gets stronger or something like that. So let's go to our Matron of Memories. This is always the first node. You'll get some bonuses here. Lose 20% max health, gain the tea leaves. Praying for greed at shrines will grant you an upgrade point. Ooh, I love praying for greed at shrines. Lose 20% max HP and gain the flask of blue juice. Triple the essence gained from perfect victory bonus. Well, we're on hard, so I don't know how easy that is. Let's go nuts. There we go. We're down to 72 max health. So not great. Let's go edit our deck real quick. We wanted to put in this diversion, the corruption, and the block. So that means we probably want to take out 2 blocks because we put in 2 block cards, and then this one was gaining corruption. It's basically an attack card. So let's take out 1 attack card. What do we want to take out? Let me double check. It's Wreath. That's a pretty good card. I saw people online saying that the void coins are bad. I'm mixed on them. I can see why people think that, but I found them to be useful in certain circumstances, so I'm going to leave it in. I'll show you what those do. So again, if you haven't played this game, your deck is always 20 cards. You can add and subtract freely, but you have to maintain 20 for at least the start of the fight. All cards have a little socket here, and you can add these stones onto the cards. There's 6 types of stones. You'll earn them as you'll get like basically experience in fights. You'll fill up this bar, get that stone, and then it'll start filling up this one and then this one. So you'll get the stones in this order. They do all sorts of good stuff. This one here gives you rage 25%. So it means this turn, attack and affliction cards deal X% more damage. So the problem with this is if you put this on an attack card, that card does not get the bonus. So you have to be careful with this. This really needs to go on some sort of buff card of some kind, and then you unload your attacks afterwards. So I wouldn't want to put it on something like this that I'm hoping to discard and not actually play. Same here. Both of these cards, my goal would be to discard them and never actually play them if I don't have to. A lot of times you only need 1 block card in a turn, maybe 2. So I might go ahead and put one of these on a block card. And normally you cannot take these coins off, but our starting artifact lets us take the void stones back off of our cards if we so choose, which is a unique power for the Daughter's Corruption. So we'll go ahead and put that back on there. It does not matter since I can take them off. And let's get back to the map. So here's where we can plan out our route. We have regular fights, a fight with an upgrade point. Shrines are where you get free stuff. Here's where you can exchange non-class cards for class cards, and it costs money. Treasure chests give you a bunch of stuff. You get essence, souls, which are the 2 types of currency. You get an upgrade point, and you also get a choice of 1 of 3 cards. So the treasure chests are awesome. You get like tons of stuff. So we want to head for the shrines all the time because we're going to get free upgrade points. You can see if I hover this one, it's graying out these 2. So that means we want to go this way. And one neat feature in this game is you can actually right-click nodes to change them color, so you can kind of like plan out your route. So I can be like, you know, I want to go this way, fight the elite, head up this way. This is a cursed idol with the ability to grant artifacts. We could go there. Do another elite fight, a shrine, like there, and then go to the boss. So I really like that. And then you can X stuff out like with a red or something like that. Don't remember not to go there, just so you don't forget in between plays, because it'll save this like modification to the map. Really cool little feature. Oh, another neat thing I didn't mention is you can actually save your decks, which is such a good idea. So you can be like, oh, this is my AoE version of the deck, you know, and then you can see like, okay, well, I'm going to be going up against like a bunch of enemies. So you can click on a node, and then you can actually go in and manage it here. So I can be like, oh, you know what? I need the AoE deck because I'm fighting a group of enemies instead of one strong enemy. That's super cool. And you can like modify this and then make a new version. I never bother because I'm not skilled enough to worry about it, so I'm not gonna bother. But you definitely could build different versions of your deck. Okay, so let's go on into our first fight. If you haven't seen this game before, you will fight a variety of respawning enemies, and so you have to finish the battle progress. So once battle progress hits 100%, enemies will cease spawning. This first fight is, I think it's always these three, and it's an unusual introduction to the battle progress system because of their percentages. There is no possible way to fight any combination of these and not get to 100% in 2 fights. It's a strange way to go into this, but there are enemies that'll have like 12% or 25% of battle progress. So you can either just kill the little ones a million times or the main one or something like that. Once you get the battle progress to 100%, they stop spawning, but you will often have to kill the remaining enemies. Obviously, that makes it easier, but enemies over time will make themselves stronger, so you kind of have there's a bit of a soft timer on things, is that you and the enemies are both ramping up over time. Over here we can see our fight reward. We will get this card from beating this fight. Let's not worry about that at the moment. Let's just go on into the battle. I'll go over this first fight pretty in depth, and then from then on I'll just kind of lightly narrate what's going on. So the enemies show you what they're going to do. She is going to heal everyone for 10%. So if we're going to do damage to people this turn, we got to do more than 10% of their health or it's useless. This person is going to add 2 attack points. So that means up here, his attack strength is 4, his attack number or his frenzy is 1. So every time he goes to fight, he will attack. So he's not going to attack this turn, but next turn he'll probably hit me 1 time for what will become 6 damage. Similarly, this guy is attacking. So if he had a ×2 here, it would say 6 threat. If this was a 7, this would say 7 threat, etc. This Enchantress tends to buff everyone up. This guy tends to alternate buffing and attacking. This guy attacks a lot, but sometimes he'll buff himself with quite a bit of damage, but at least he's weaker in terms of health. So down here we have how much damage we're going to be taking this turn, which is none, our maximum health. They do a lot of things to make your life easier. Here it's showing how much damage I'll have to worry about next turn because he's going to be attacking on his turn. So next turn I'll have to deal with 3. This is the battle progress. If I hover over an enemy, you can see that guy's worth 50%, 90%, 60%. We have all of our artifacts along the side here. I do find it strange that the artifacts are horizontal along the top outside of battle and vertical inside of battle. I find that disorienting, but I'm assuming the developer did that because the space up here was important. But on the world map, I don't actually know. We'll have to look at it when we get back there and see why it's not over here on this side. There might have been the map legend or something. Here's our deck. We can click on this at any time I have a special card back because his game got 250 Steam reviews a year or 2 back, so he made a special card back for people to use. So this is everything in our deck at the moment, and then these are the 5 cards in our hand. So these plus these are our 20 cards. Here is my energy. This is basically mana for playing cards. We have a maximum of 5. We start with 3, and we will get 2 every turn. It's once you get into the swing of it, it's easy. Just assume you get 2 every turn is the basic way to think about it. Down here is how many cards have been destroyed and are not coming back. Here are cards that have been exiled and are not coming back. These are different things, though. And here is our discard. These are cards that have gone from our hand or our deck into the discard, and then when our deck is empty, it will be shuffled back in. It's a very core mechanic to this corruption deck for the Daughter of the Void. And turn down here, you can see a lot of other information up here. You can even look at your deck, like the whole deck from here. So in case you're like trying to figure out what's where, instead of having to search through all these different piles, you can just be like, how many of those did I have in my deck at the start? You know, whatever. Very helpful. Here is our corruption. It is 0 right now. We'll get into that. That's pretty easy. And here is our spell. This is how we sift 1 and gain 1 corruption. So this lets us sift 1 card from our discard and we gain 1 corruption. So we'll go ahead and use that now. So we sift a card. So what I want to do is sift something with this golden or maybe green border. I'm colorblind, so you know, let me know in the comments what color this is. So if we sift one that's highlighted, it will do something, which is a nice quality of life feature. So this one, if it's discarded, and remember sifting is discarding a card from your deck, will give us 1 corruption. This one, if discarded, gives us block. And then there was one other one which is in our hand, so it's not showing up, of course. So I want to sift out these damage ones, because again, these do 0 damage until we have corruption. So let's sift that. There we go. So that heads to our discard. Now we have 2 corruption. And that is because this spell gave us 1 corruption and sifting gave us 1 corruption. So now we can, if we want to, we can start casting these for 2 damage. I'm not going to do that. It's kind of a bad idea. So what I'm actually going to do this turn is I am going to discard my entire hand, because every time I purge a card from my hand by holding right click, I get a corruption. And if it's one of these, I get an extra corruption. No, sorry, I get 1 corruption. I get extra energy. But at the end of the turn, any excess energy is going to turn into more corruption. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump my entire hand this turn and get a bunch of corruption and then end turn. Most everything in my deck gets better as I get corruption. My block cards, my attack cards. Okay, so they did their buffing and attacking and such. So you can see now I have 3 threat. Threat means that if I hit end turn right now, I would take 3 damage. You can see this little red bar here is indicating my health is going to change. So that means I need to play some kind of block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block with, well, let's say this card here. This will give me block 6. If corruption is over 20, which we're only at 12, I would get another block 3. So this would be 9 block. Because of the stone I put on here, it also gives me rage 25%, which means my attacks this turn would do 25% more damage. So let's go ahead and play this one. You can see my threat went down to 0. Now, you do have to be careful. I played a block 6. I only had, 3 damage on here. If I were to somehow get 3 threat on my turn, it does not remember that I had excess block from that last card. Every time you play block, it can only go down to 0 and not like negative or whatever. So if I were to gain threat, I would have to play another block. It doesn't matter. If I had 1 damage here and I played a 100 block card, I would go to 0 and then I could gain threat, even though I played a 100 block. So you got to be very careful about that. There's a Hellhound unit we're going to see in a fight or two that trips me up every time, because when you target it, it puts threat on you and then you've already blocked and you're like, damn it, now I'm going to take damage. Okay. So what do we want to do the rest of this turn? I could hit somebody for 9 damage. I'm going to purge more cards. I don't need the block. This is now worth 13 damage. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kill this lady, she has 13 health, because if I destroy her, she will not be giving +2 attack points to all 3 of these characters. Boom. So now, because the battle progress is only 60%, enemies will respawn, but they'll skip their turn here. So it could be her. It could be another one of these guys, I think. I'm not sure exactly who can respawn, but I know that I've seen 2 of these guys out before. So let's end turn. No threat. So he hits me. He's going to buff himself. And then we got another. Oh, yeah, we did get another one of the big ones. Okay. So you can see that guy had attacked me and put 6 threat here. So once again, we need to block for 6. Now, fortunately, this card blocks exactly 6, so I don't have to worry about it. Let's go ahead and use our spell and sift 1. Oh, you know what we could do? We could sift this card from the discard and get block 7. So now we don't have any threat. We don't even have to use a card from our hand. So now we could do like dump that card. Since we're at max energy, we actually get more corruption. Here is gain 3 corruption. Let's play that. Here is deal 9 damage, draw 1, discard 1. So let's go ahead and attack. This guy's been getting a lot stronger, so let's attack him. So I draw 1, discard. Now it's good when I discard because I gain the extra corruption. So let's discard that. Up to 25 corruption. So now this is 19 damage here, which is kind of insane. Let's finish off this guy and then finish off this guy. There we go. So now all we have left is this guy who's only a 4 times 1, and he's not even attacking this turn. We should be able to kill him off next turn, and we won't even have to do anything else. Okay, so we can do here 19 damage. So all we need is 1 more point of corruption. So what we could do is just purge any card from our hand, gain a corruption, and now we're up to 20. Bam. Perfect victory. So we got 58 essence. This is kind of like gold. It's your standard currency. 2 souls. This is your rarer currency that's used for like really important things like artifact purchases and stuff. And then 15 essence for a perfect fight. So we got a bonus because I took 0 damage. And we got an upgrade point that was just part of the node, if you remember back from the map. Some nodes just have, like this one here has a little upgrade point on it. So we continue. We got this card. And now we get to upgrade something. So you can see it'll initially show you your deck. So it'll show you here's the 10, 20 cards in our deck here. We can also look at our backpack. So if we got a card that we want to put in our deck that's not in there yet, we can actually upgrade it from here and then put it in later, which is pretty cool. Is sneak attack something we want? Deal 9 damage, an amount of times equal to target's frenzy value. That's interesting. So the target, so the enemy, if they have a high frenzy value, frenzy being the number of times they attack, if they have a high frenzy value, we could do an insane amount of damage with this card. But this doesn't really synergize with what our deck does. So though it's a very interesting idea, I'm going to bypass that for now because I want to really get the corruption going. In this game, fortunately, you can get pretty far with the basic deck cards. I often end the game with like 5 or 6 of the basic attack and basic block cards in there, just because they're often so core to the strategy of the deck that you won't get enough cards to fully replace them. And even if you did, you'd be all over the place. If you had 20 different cards in your deck, you'd be a little confused. I think it'd be a little hard to play. So I'm probably going to... what do I want to upgrade? This card's pretty good when it's upgraded because it's block 19 for 2, which is like a full turn. This would give 4 corruption, or if it's purged, deal 6 damage to a random enemy and trigger Void Stone. So if we have a Void Stone socketed, you can discard the card from your hand and still, as if it was played, use the stone, if that makes sense. That's an interesting idea, just to gain... Because early game, this is a great way to up your corruption quickly, and then late game, you can just purge it for some damage and trigger the Void Stone. Is that something I want? This might come out of here eventually, actually. Let's go back to the deck. This card is worth a lot of block if we upgrade it. So is this one. I'm going to upgrade a basic attack card. And the reason I'm going to do this is because it scales better with damage. Now it'll deal 100% corruption instead of 75. And when you discard it, you gain 2 corruption. So oftentimes I'll sift these out of my deck instead early, because then you double up your corruption and gain. So let's upgrade one of these. And now we are ready to move on. So Yeah, as you can see, what we'll do is we'll finish this floor, fight this boss, then we'll have to do floor 2, fight another boss, and then floor 3 is like the mini boss rush, where those guardians I showed you at the beginning will be the things that we end up fighting 2 of, and then we fight the final boss, which is the void itself. I don't remember if there is a way to see the enemies coming up at the end. I do not remember. Oh. Exit and highlight path. Oh, you can plan it in here. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, very, very cool. So let's end this episode here because we're about out of time for this one. So I want to thank everybody so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this brief-ish tutorial on the Daughter of the Void, and I hope you will come back and watch more of this. The Daughter of the Void plays really, really well. I think she's probably my second favorite character in the game. They're all quite fun. And each of them has 2 archetypes, and they do play quite differently. Like the Hidden, he's got the Bleed and the Blade. The Bleed is all about stacking up your combo and putting tons of bleed on a unit and letting them just bleed out while you stay alive and out of the way. And the Blade combo is all about getting these insane amounts of just targeted damage, usually single target. You just do just like 50 damage, there you go. And it's so wild to see the combos you can build up, and it's just very, very fun. So I hope you'll give this game a try for yourself. Again, please come on back for the next episode, and I can't wait to see everybody there. Thanks again for watching.